July 6th, 1984, Kansas City Arrowhead Stadium. 45,000 screaming fans packed into the stands. The lights go down. The crowd erupts. The Victory Tour, the biggest, most expensive, most hyped concert tour in history, is about to begin. Michael Jackson, the biggest star on the planet, fresh off the success of Thriller, the best-selling album is about to take the stage with his brothers for what was supposed to be the performance of a lifetime. But what happened that night? It didn't go the way anyone expected. Some fans left in tears, and not the good kind. Critics trashed the show. And Michael himself, he was furious. So what went wrong? Was it really his worst performance ever? Or is there more to the story? Buckle up, because this is about to get intense. Let's set the scene. It's 1984, and Michael Jackson is untouchable. Thriller has been dominating the charts for over a year. Billie Jean beat it. Thriller, every single is a smash hit. The moonwalk at Motown 25 made him a global icon. He's on magazine covers. He's breaking records. He's literally the biggest entertainer on earth. Then the announcement drops. Michael Jackson is going on tour with his brothers. The Victory Tour. The reunion everyone had been waiting for. Tickets went on sale. Absolute madness. People camped out for days. Phone lines were jammed. Scalpers were selling tickets for thousands of dollars. This wasn't just a concert. This was a cultural event. The production budget was insane. We're talking $15 million, unheard of at the time. Custom stage designs, pyrotechnics, elaborate costumes, state-of-the-art sound systems. This was going to be the most spectacular show anyone had ever seen. The media hype was out of control. Every news station was covering it. Every magazine was writing about it. The world was watching. And the pressure, all on Michael? Sure, it was called the Victory Tour, and it featured all the Jackson brothers, but let's be real, people were there for one person. Michael Jackson, the king of pop. He knew it. His brothers knew it. The promoters knew it. Everyone knew it. And that pressure, it was about to become a nightmare. Here's what the fans didn't know. Behind the scenes, the Victory Tour was falling apart before it even started. First problem, the brothers were fighting. Michael didn't even want to do this tour. He wanted to tour solo. He wanted to promote Thriller properly on H's terms with his vision. But his father, Joe Jackson, and his brothers pushed him into it. They needed the money. They needed the relevance. They needed Michael. So Michael agreed, but he had conditions. He wanted creative control. He wanted to choose the set list. He wanted to decide the choreography. He wanted it done his way. The brothers, they hated that. Jermaine was bitter because he left the group years earlier and now felt like an outsider. Jackie, Tito, Marlon, and Randy felt like Michael was treating them like backup dancers instead of equals. The tension was brutal. And then there was the money situation. The ticket prices were outrageous. $30 a ticket, which doesn't sound like much now, but in 1984, that was insane. Families couldn't afford it. The kids who'd grown up with the Jackson 5 were being priced out of seeing their idols. Michael was furious about this. He publicly criticized the pricing and even donated his entire share of the tour profits to charity just to distance himself from the greed. But the damage was done. People were already angry before the first show even happened. Oh, and get this, the rehearsals were a disaster. Michael was a perfectionist. He demanded excellence. Every move had to be precise. Every note had to be perfect. Every costume change had to be seamless. But his brothers, they weren't on his level. They hadn't been performing at the intensity Michael had. They were rusty, they were sloppy, and Michael let them know it. There were screaming matches during rehearsals. Michael would stop mid-song and make them start over, again and again and again. By the time opening night arrived, the brothers were exhausted. The crew was stressed. And Michael? He was a ball of nerves and frustration. This was not the recipe for success. July 6th, 1984, 7:30 p.m. The lights dim at Arrowhead Stadium. 45,000 fans are on their feet, screaming at the top of their lungs. This is the moment they've been waiting for. The stage explodes with pyrotechnics. Smoke fills the air. And then the brothers appear. They launch into Wanna Be Startin' Something, a Thriller classic. The crowd goes wild. But almost immediately, the sound system is terrible. The vocals are getting drowned out by the instruments. Fans in the back can barely hear anything. People are looking at each other confused, like, wait, is this really happening? Then they go into the Jackson 5 classics, I Want You Back, ABC, The Love You Save. These are the songs that made them famous. The songs everyone knows. But here's the problem. Michael is singing lead on everything. His brothers are barely getting any solo parts. It's not a reunion, it's the Michael Show featuring his brothers as background singers. Fans who came to see the Jackson 5 were disappointed. This wasn't the group they remembered. This was Michael Jackson with 4 guys standing behind him. And then The technical difficulties started. Microphones cutting out, lighting cues missed, costume changes taking too long, leaving awkward gaps in the show. This was supposed to be a $15 million production, and it looked like a high school talent show. Michael was visibly frustrated on stage. You could see it in his body language. The precision wasn't there. The energy wasn't there. He was going through the motions, but the magic, it was missing. And here's the worst part. Michael's voice was struggling. Now, let me be clear. Michael Jackson was one of the greatest vocalists of all time. But on this night, he was straining. He was tired. The rehearsals had worn him out. The stress had gotten to him. And you could hear it. There were moments where he hit the notes perfectly. Billie Jean and Beat It were solid. But there were also moments where he was clearly pushing too hard. And it showed. His fans started leaving during the show. Not a lot, but enough that it was noticeable. People were walking out of a Michael Jackson concert. Let that sink in. When the show finally ended after 2.5 hours, the reaction was mixed. Some fans loved it. They got to see Michael Jackson, that was enough. But others, they felt cheated. They paid $30, a fortune back then, and got a show that felt rushed, disorganized, and underwhelming. The next morning, the reviews came out, and they were brutal. The Kansas City Star called it a disappointment. Rolling Stone said it was more spectacle than substance. Variety wrote that the show failed to live up to the hype. Fans were calling radio stations complaining. Some demanded refunds. Others said they'd never waste money on a Jackson concert again. And Michael, he was devastated. This was supposed to be his victory lap, his moment to celebrate Thriller and show the world he was the greatest performer alive. Instead, he was being called out for a lackluster show. But here's where the story gets interesting. Michael didn't make excuses. He didn't blame the sound system or the crew or his brothers. He went back to work. Over the next few days, Michael and the team made major changes. They fixed the sound issues. They tightened the choreography. They adjusted the set list to give his brothers more spotlight. They smoothed out the technical problems. And by the time they hit the next city, Dallas, Texas, the show was completely different. The sound was crisp, the energy was electric, the choreography was flawless. Michael's voice was back to perfection. This was the victory tour everyone had been promised. Reviews from Dallas were glowing. Fans were raving. The show became the must-see event of the year. The Victory Tour went on to become one of the highest grossing tours of the decade, playing to over 2 million fans across the United States and Canada. But that opening night in Kansas City, it's a footnote that most people have forgotten. So was it really Michael Jackson's worst performance ever? Honestly, probably not. Was it his best? Absolutely not. It was a rough start to a massive tour. It was a learning experience. It was a reminder that even the greatest performers in the world can have an off night. But here's what separates legends from everyone else. Michael didn't let that failure define him. He took the criticism, learned from it, and came back stronger. By the end of the Victory Tour, people had forgotten all about that shaky opening night in Kansas City. All they remembered was the spectacle, the talent, and the king of pop doing what he did best, entertaining the world. So the next time you have a bad day, a rough start, or a moment where things don't go as planned, remember this story. Even Michael Jackson had off nights. The difference is he didn't quit. He adjusted. He improved. And he became a legend. So what do you think? Was opening night really that bad? Or were people expecting too much? Let me know in the comments. And if you love this deep dive into Victory Tour history, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button and subscribe to King of Pop for more untold stories about the greatest entertainer who ever lived. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep pushing, keep improving, and never let one bad night define your legacy. Peace.